Good afternoon. Thank you for filling the room, and thank you to FICOD for welcoming us here. So I am Rafael Linares. I will be the master of ceremony here. I will be guiding you through this discussion. This talk will speak about what is audiovisual communication. It all comes out of this website. We were a group of 25 people. We started training, and a friend of us recruited all of us, and he started mixing people with very different backgrounds. People who had training, linked with the developers world, and we want to share our knowledge, our insight, and try to improve and to gather as much information as possible. So the fantastic part in this group is that it gradually became transmedia. We started with a blog. We had a Facebook group. It's closed for the authors, where we share our concerns. We try to help each other out. We share our projects. And on top of the blog, we try to publish posts on our blogs every day. We have a weekly section in a radio where we try to voice our opinions, what we write every day. So on top of the transmedia activities, we try to meet once a month, usually the first Thursday of each month. This time it was a Wednesday, thanks to FICOD. But we usually propose a topic, or we speak about someone as well, and so we try to know about what this person is doing. We try to share our interests, our contents, and we just try to grab a beer together. And that's what we're doing here. Actually, we're trying to gain knowledge and to do some networking. So the website is innovacionaudiovisual.com. We invite you to read our manifesto, and we invite everyone to join us. That is an open group. It's made up of different people with different backgrounds, all contributing with their knowledge. We have a lot of junior people contributing with fresh insight. We do not sanction a failure. We just want to move on and keep learning. So we invite you all to read what you do, to come to our meetings. You can read what we do in our blog, in the social networks. We invite you also to tweet about us. We understand that conversation must go on, and the hashtag we use is a hashtag Comunicación Audiovisual. So what is audiovisual communication about? What's the topic of this talk? So obviously in FICOD we have to talk about digital content, and we wanted to talk about zombies with the kings and other ways to get out of the TV screen. Usually we receive contents from a major website, from a saga, and we link in the process, in the chain, that do not always allow us to be as creative as we would like to be, but we still have a lot of possibilities to be creative. And here we have several people who will tell us about their experiences while working in the different channels, or content creators for those channels. And to follow the order, we have Elena Neira at the bottom. She is consulting for the new screen, the Nueva Pantalla. She will tell us about social networks and new technologies. Then we have Bethlehem Santaolalla. She's a senior creative consultant of the Conductor tool. She will tell us a bit more about this tool. And we will also have Cristina Pablo. she does strategy for Canal Plus in the media. So she will tell us about the Game of Thrones, and she set up RG strategy, and we will talk about it. We will see the viewpoint of the creator and the viewpoint of the channel, the TV channel. And then we will have Tatiana Carral. She's the head of press of NBC Universal. So NBC Universal has Calle 13 and Sci-Fi, these two channels. And she's been writing emails to organize everything. She told me to explain everything we'll do, and she gave me this fantastic sentence. This is our daily work, how we try to reinvent ourselves. So Tatiana, the floor is yours, and let's hope you'll enjoy this talk. Wonderful. So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thanks to everyone in the Innovaicon Audiovisual for inviting me here today. So my day-to-day work happens at these two channels Rafa told you about, so Calle 13 and Sci-Fi. Calle 13 only exists in a few countries in Europe, and Sci-Fi is an international brand, so it's produced in the United States and many other countries around the world. These are pay-per-view channels or cable channels. And what I wanted to tell you about here is a bit complex. I wanted to tell you about our online actions we did for these two channels during the last few months. As Rafat said, how we do to use all this material that comes to us, or material we have to get. So how do we do to adapt ourselves? Sometimes the media companies send us the content, and we have to prepare for this for the previews. So we need to tell the viewers the new way we used to consume these products, the digital products. So the arguments thread I've been using is a bit crazy, and you'll understand why. Rafa, excuse me. Should I press this button? Okay. So from Ryan Murphy to Miss Williams, and before signing for series such as Glee or American History, so Ryan Murphy did a series called Nidtak. It was the first TV series for which I worked in Calle 13. I'm speaking about November 2004. Sorry for the flashback. I will quickly come back to these days. But we were screening this series just a few months after it was done in the United States, and we thought about creating this billboard here instead of using the material sent by FX in the United States. But we thought this was a crazy TV series, a daring show with a lot of sex in politically correct things. So we created a media campaign, very strong, and well, the response of the audience was not very good. They had a very small market share, and we could see that in the United States they were doing these kind of things, the things you can see here, so very eye-catching, and we were trying to tell a bit more than what people could see in the episode. So at that time, November 2004, the series had started in 2003, and in Spain no one was watching this show. It's true that many people might have liked it, but the boom with series had not started. Anyway, in 2005, Lost started in Spain. They also launched Desperate Housewives by Fox. and rumor had it that something was changing. Obviously, they were launching this series in Spain with a few months after, but anyway, so we were talking about Nick Tag, and this man here is the main character of a series called Person of Interest. That's one of the first shows used by my channel to start broadcasting, you know, at the same time as they do in the United States. So we had to try to tell people that we were following the US pace, but sometimes people there, you know, they were celebrating Thanksgiving or Christmas, so we had to explain our audience that we would not broadcast any episode on our channel this week, or do something different, and we did things like this one you can see here to explain all that.
Señor presidente, ¿puede confirmarnos que este hecho también afectará a España?
El parón de la serie será a escala global. Sí, afectará a España. Pero hemos hablado con sus dirigentes y para evitar un grave incidente diplomático, el día 11, Calle 13 programará 2 películas estupendas. El mito de Born y el ultimátum de Born.
El próximo jueves a las 9:30 de la noche, El mito de Born. Y después, El ultimátum de Born. Y el jueves 18 regresa Person of Interest con episodio de estreno.
La espera será dura. Pero cuando crean que ya no se puede resistir, recuerden mi eterno lema. Yes, we can.
It's very funny but quite dramatic too. People start insulting us on the social networks. Why are you not broadcasting an episode? And the thing is that we have to reinvent ourselves every time, how to make the content ours and how to give it the Spanish cultural codes. People need to understand this new way of doing things, and that's what we were saying before. Sometimes you have to hold 2 conversations, one with people who know what happens in the United States, that usually you're on top of things, that you're showing the episode at the same time, and then the rest of people, the people who think that they sit in front of that TV on the Thursday and they can watch their show. So we need to talk to these 2 kind of audiences, and we have to say, okay, we will do the work for you. People do not know about Netflix. They want to see their episode in Spanish, so we have to work for these people too. So, as you might know, New York is the background place for the Person of Interest, and it's also where you could see Sharknado 2. You've probably all heard about Sharknado. That's a phenomenon that started to gain importance in social networks. Sharknado is a movie from Sci-Fi Originals. That's how we call it in sci-fi. So these are different kind of movies. So it's usually Dino Crowd against Mega Crowser, so The End of the World, the remake of this kind of movies. So suddenly, a Friday night, they broadcasted this. So it was all these sharks attacking Los Angeles. So in Twitter, people started to comment on that. So millions of comments, famous people They were talking about it on Twitter, and Sci-Fi didn't know about that. It was something crazy. And this was feeding on Twitter, on tweets. So obviously we won't have a second part. But that's a clear example to see that if you want to know the future, the trends in contents, for example, for movies or TV shows, it's sometimes difficult to define it. If they're showing Sharknado in the United States on the 25th and people are commenting in Twitter, it's difficult to tell people, don't listen to what people say in Twitter. We will show it a few hours later, but it's difficult to do it, obviously. So it's difficult for us to tell them, okay, do not make spoilers, and that doesn't make sense. People liked sharing knowledge on Twitter, sharing live content. So Sharknado 2 had a big strategy beforehand to make it big on the social networks. They realized that this could become big, but they released this in all channels during the night, so the audience, the market share was very low. But we could say that we released it at the same time as in the United States. The people who could understand English could start watching it at the same time as people do in the US. And the day after, we could show it on prime time on TV as well for the rest of people. Sorry for the next video, it is only in English, even if the original is in Spanish, but I want you to see the kind of activities we created around Sharknado 2.
Sharknado 2! Ah!
The Sharknado storm that's been triumphing all around the world has also reached Spain and Portugal. At Sci-Fi, we were ready to multiply its effects and get some positive results. Sharknado 2 was the first movie ever to be released simultaneously with the US and has become the third most viewed sci-fi original in the history of Sci-Fi Spain. Keen not to leave sharks wreaking havoc on New York, as an only course, Sci-Fi programmed a special Shark Night featuring Sharknado 1, Ghost Shark and Two-Headed Shark Attack. Just hours after its TV premiere, we invited over 800 lucky fans to enjoy the movie like never before on a huge screen at the Cuartel City Lights open-air movie theater in Madrid.
¡Dios mío!
And 150 Shark fans turned out for the screening in Lisbon.
Foi uma das melhores experiências cinematográficas que já tive.
By taking part in the home video competition #MeSharknado, viewers were able to see their Sharknado moment turned into bumpers that were then broadcast on our channel. As far as social media was concerned, Twitter was the undisputed leader. On the day of the premiere, engagements multiplied by 5 and saw 1,283 followers over 5 days. The tornado caused a stir in all high-profile press and online media. The Sharks have won over our audience. Now all people can think about is when Sharknado 3 will be out.
Soy super fan y quiero Sharknado 3 de ya.
Habrá Sharknado 3 y 4 y 5.
Yes, we'll have Sharknado 3, 4 and 5. Well, I'll move on to more things I need to tell you about. There's Ariam sharing, the blonde guy here, you can see, and Stephen Hamel was in the last release of Beverly Hills, the TV show Beverly Hills. He's the main character in Arrow, one of the most popular series in Calle 13, and Stephen Hamel is very good at self-promoting himself on the social networks. He's got a Twitter account and everything, so he's trying to reply to all his fans, to upload photos, and out of curiosity, and it's looking quite good as well, but if you want to follow him, it's a very good example of how actors have changed the way they promote themselves. I think he's very good at doing so in social networks. We have two colleagues of him here, Cotton Heggs and Emily Bedrickards. They're also very active on social networks. And if you tweet a video of this man on our channel, you'll have 1,000 of retweets, and that's quite impressive. I wanted to show you also with Arrow how social networks and hashtags have a strong impact on the promotion we do in our channel.
Tú cuenta en público lo que quieras. ¿Que te apetece ver en acción al nuevo compañero de Arrow? ¿Que el villano Slade parecerá un monaguillo al lado de Ra's al Ghul? Di que te encantan las batallas épicas y demás. Pero seamos sinceros. Lo que de verdad estás ansioso por saber es qué pasa con Olicity. El 15 de octubre, Arrow regresa a Calle 13.
Para los que no sean seguidores.
So, for those of you who are not followers, it's Oliver and Felicity. That's where the sexual tension happens in the TV show. So I also wanted to talk about Little Secret Films. This action came from Calle 13. This has nothing to do with an American TV show. It's more about Spanish movies. I don't know if you know about this project. This project was brought about a year ago, and people offered guidelines for low-budget films with very specific features. It's about having a very small team and limited resources. And we produced 13 movies with them in 2013. They were uploaded to our website, and we could see very good results. All of them are not on our website still, but some of them have reached 500,000 hits in our website. Some of them reached the movie theaters, and I recommend really that you have a look on our website. It shows that you can do very good movies with a very low budget.
Little Secret Film es un modelo.
It's a production model. We're trying to innovate in the movies world. We're trying to shoot movies with little risk, because we're trying to shoot the film in a limited amount of time. We have a very small team, so in Calle 13 our marketing needs to be innovative, and we're trying to connect directly with our viewers. I know I really liked this project right from the beginning because it's very innovative. The collaboration with Calle 13 is very interesting. We'll have 13 new movies with 13 new directors with a lot of suspense, thriller, and I hope viewers will be surprised. I'm sorry, I need to cut this off because I want to keep on telling the things I need to tell you. So, well, one of the actors here will work with Natalia Tena in Refugiados, the new series from the BBC's and La Sexta, and she also works with Missy Williams in Games of Thrones. You know that Macy is like a character.
Todo el rato graba vídeos. Últimamente está un poco.
She always records videos of herself, and she uploads them online. They're quite funny usually. And the last thing I wanted to show you, it's the campaign we launched last week in Calle 13. It's 13 Vine videos produced by the team in Canal, so they last 13 seconds. So www.calle13.expertsincrime.com.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Hello, my name is Cristina. I work for Canal Plus in the communication department. And I want to tell you about the online strategy to communicate about the new season of Game of Thrones. And I also wanted to accompany Belen. She helped us a lot in the implementation of our strategy. But before that, I'd like to go back and tell you about the steps we've been setting until we reach the last season. I cannot find my presentation. Can you help me, Rafa?
Ya. ¿Me oís?
Can you hear me now? Yes, maybe it's short. That's my problem. Okay, now. So, I was telling you that for the 4th season of Game of Thrones, we started from a suggestion from the communication department in Canal Plus, which said, if you experience it, it is then true. And I will go back in time a little bit before moving on, and now everyone uses Twitter, Facebook. It all takes part of our lives in a very natural way, but if you go back in time, we not use that much Facebook. YouTube was born in 2005. Angela Merkel became the president of Germany, and then in 2007 the iPhone started and Mad Men started. In 2008 Android was born and Spain won the Euro Cup. And 2010 Netflix Online started, and WikiLeaks 2 in 2011. We launched our online service and we released Game of Thrones. So we had new platforms to communicate to the public and to speak with users on the same level. And we launched the communication strategy department in Canal Plus. We wanted to communicate about Canal Plus through series. People usually associated Canal Plus to movies and sports, and we started receiving TV series that changed the scene. People starting to buy copyright for series, so that was a big change compared to the past. And when we were releasing those series, we wanted to give it the Canal Plus brand. Then in 2013 we released True Blood, Fringe and Mad Men. So this man appeared in our lives, and I was really thankful for that, I need to admit. And we started working on how to communicate with this series, how to tell people that we were releasing those series. So in my department we started working with internal documents, with the communication plans. We still do that, and we were confident enough because we knew that we needed to convert those series in big happenings, so to convert our releases in big news. So we started talking with distributing companies to interview the main characters of the series. Something that worked really well was to convert big events into releases. So a few years ago we would not release the series on the same time as they did in the United States, only a few months after. So what we wanted to do is to release the first episode of the series on the following day in the original language. So we started to invite guests in Canal Plus with the main characters, and it's worked out really well. We also tried to unify the messages in the different Canal Plus platforms. We wanted to tell the same message. So in 2010 we got a new boss in our department. He said he bought the copyright for a new HBO series. It was going to be very big, he said, and he started talking to us about Games of Thrones. And I looked at him and said, I do not understand. But many of my colleagues, I had read the books, they knew all about Game of Thrones, and we created a communication team, and everyone started to read the books, to get inside the world, to learn the character names, to know where was the kingdom, where were the walls, and it was all a bit crazy. And we discovered when we started doing some research that people who might be interested in viewing this series, we discovered that the key thing here was this man here. We tried to recreate the Iron Throne you can see in the series, and so we recreated it, and we realized that the best way to do it was to speak with people who already know the saga. So that is our online strategy, right? Because we had a very big strategy, communication strategy, but we also created a Game of Thrones Facebook page, so a few months before the release. And we did that because we realized that this community who was following the saga had a strong presence in the internet. They could manage really well social networks, and that's why we launched that page with the idea of telling that we would release this series in Canal+, but we also wanted to be a reference place for fans where they could find a lot of information about the series. That's why we asked to get the content very quickly to be able to share it with our fans, and the growth rate was really big. And then we also created a map, like know your characters, and they would tell you, well, you know that Game of Thrones is a very big map. Some characters are in one place one day and then they change the other day and you tend to get lost, but we wanted fans to be able to trace the character's path, itinerary, so you could know at all times what family they belong to. And then we created another game, and so week after week we had to launch a new game. People were very engaging, and we generated a big group of fans. It was very clear for us the link between Game of Thrones and Canal+. So it really helped us to have a good communication campaign season after season, and to make people engage with the series. So in the second season we created the Twitter account for Games of Thrones. So with the same spirit as in the Facebook, we try to reflect Twitter conversation with different views which were being expressed, and the game war outcry became a reference for Games of Thrones. And then the following season we launched a second screen. We were working a lot with John B, and by doing so we could help people to see the episode, to watch the episodes on any device. So you could get information on one screen and then watch the episode on the second screen. And at the same time they were telling you what scene you're at, and giving you a lot of information. We reached the fourth season, and with this positioning in our creative department in Canal+, we understood that it was a new positioning strategy, quite different from what we did in the past. We wanted to put on the foreground all of fans who had been accompanying us in the previous 3 seasons. We wanted them to give them a leading role.
Soy la espada en la oscuridad.
Soy la espada en la oscuridad.
Soy la el vigilante del muro.
Soy el vigilante del muro.
Soy el fuego que arde contra el frío.
Soy el fuego que arde contra el frío.
Arde contra el frío.
La luz que trae el amanecer.
La luz que trae el amanecer.
El cuerno que despierta a los durmientes.
Despierta a los durmientes.
El escudo que defiende
Los reinos de los hombres.
Los reinos de los hombres.
This was the ad for the beginning of the campaign, and there were fans that we knew, clients of Canal Plus, were on it, and it was directed exactly to them, because they are actually talking about stuff that fans of Game of Thrones understand perfectly. So, continue with my story. We're talking about my department. We were told that we needed to land these, that we needed to use different online strategies involving Facebook, etc. But we had to develop a game now geared towards the fans, where they would create new groups, etc. And that's what we did. We ended up with Transmedia Storyteller, the agency that helped us in order to create this Silo Babies es Verdad, a real one. Thank you.
Gracias, muy bien. Bueno, hola.
Hi everyone. Like Christina just mentioned, Canal Plus had a clear vision with this campaign, the fun right in the middle, and we were very lucky to work with them and with a very committed team that wanted to commit to this experience. If you experience it, it becomes true. And we started this campaign that I will just tell you about. We are Transmedia Storyteller. We have this software that creates a multi-platform entertainment. It mixes different channels to create an interactive experience. We use this software in order to create this experience that we call 19 Kingdoms. We conceived this world looking at the 19 autonomous communities, bringing them from the Game of Thrones idea and translated it to the Spanish political situation. So it was something that we all would relate to it. It was a very complex transmedia campaign. We had different events, live events, social networks, online events, series, TV slots, etc. And also, of course, the web, where everything was there. We looked at the Game of Thrones part, which is very popular, which is the Iron Throne, where everyone wants to be there. Everyone is fighting for this throne, and that was the objective of our experience. We tried to imagine this land of Spain, those 19 kingdoms, and the different fans would be able to use a house, a Lannister, out of the Game of Thrones idea, and then choose a kingdom where they mostly identified. This experience would start with the shooting of Invocation here. The fans would actually call them, would be sort of a calling out of the fans for these people. And this moment, what we did was to launch the online experience out of a real experience. And what we did was we took this character, Edwig, and he would be there right in the middle of the shooting in front of all the fans, and he would just do a speech to them, telling them they would be free and they would have to defend their house. So we were kind of empowering the fans to to be active, Edwig would go, and immediately after that the fans would get a role, and it would say that Edwig was wanted, and an online experience would start where you would be able to contact a character, you would be able to tell him that you had seen Edwig, or maybe inquire about his about this character. This character would become the star of a web series produced by Canal Plus of about 5 chapters, and would be getting into this universe of 19 thrones that was coming. We created different meeting points for the fans with different entities. There was the 19 kingdoms, the big one, the major kind of website. We would have also, we have the fort on the one hand, then we would have the square where all the meetings would be held, and the battlefield where all the soldiers would be fighting. We had 3 different types of actions. All this storytelling was creating different dynamics, very similar to role games. There were 3 actions, combat, war, etc., and people would be able to immerse themselves into this world. They would be able to buy different potions, improve their inventory, and build up their own online personality in this world that we have created. They would have their own profile, different attributes, and different inventory components. And our idea was to transcend this online world and create different points in the FNAC shop that was joining this project as a partner, and we tried to improve all these attributes of the different players. Apart from this physical experience, we also had an online treasury quest with different characters. We would have Mary Station, the brothel, the forest as well, and Gygames, which is the publisher, would be the war camp. So in these different places, they would have different languages and different identities, and there were different activities in the main square. People would be able to play games and improve their own profile, buying potions and combine different objects in different cases. Second action they could do were combat actions. What they would be able to do was to relate among themselves. They were fighting amongst themselves. We had different types of actions. They could seduce each other. They could betray each other. They could give some coins to each other as well. And the idea was to generate conversations, and they were at the same time generating dynamics and inviting 3 other people and making a story. You would be able to compare yourself to other players, and the battle and Twitter, basically it was steaming with all comments. Depending on your actions, you would be able to get different rewards. So we were rewarding different types of engagement, etc. Some people tend to be more of a profile, of an exploring profile, others are more warriors, etc. And finally, the war actions were those in which they lasted for about 1 hour before the release of the premiere, actually, and they generated a new strategy depending on their family and the house that they belonged to. And what they would be able to do was to conquest the different 19 different kingdoms, and they would be able to bring them down if they were making alliances and using all these different strategies. There was a governor in each kingdom, and every week this would change. What was the main objective? The idea was to reach this final event, starting with a week and finally finishing with a huge event in the Madrid area of Callao, where we would be sitting on the throne to our biggest and bravest warrior, and translating this online experience into something physical. And that's what we did. Canal Plus did this coronation ceremony. We had plenty of gamers coming from Spain, from different parts, and we finally converted one of these warriors, basically sat him on the throne as the king. As you can see, there was a very emotive experience, and that was our idea, to develop that part where the fan would become the main character, and it would become something very real. Many very nice experiences. We had different characters coming out. So our idea was to create this area where we would be just giving some guidelines, and people would be filling the gaps. So just starting with this person that was being wanted by the justice, what we found is that one of the governors from Extremadura in western Spain, what he did was he just created an edict or a law, and he basically made him a free man. So it's very interesting to see how if you create a territory for the fans, what they do is they make it themselves, and they can change it in different ways. Finally, Conductor, our software, what it did was to administer and yes, basically administer all these different ideas and everything that was happening, and because otherwise it would have been crazy. Actually, it was crazy, to be honest. I would love to tell you more things, but I don't really have much time. So if you'd like to get more information about multi-platform experiences, FICOD conductor.com, at conductor.com, and I'll just show you finally a video of the experience, and I think you will get the idea. Thank you.
De los tejados de Madrid al blog de George R.R. Martin. De las parodias y otras ramificaciones a la primera línea de fuego de las redes sociales y la música como un instrumento más. Canal Plus presenta un nuevo tipo de campaña que ha atrapado la imaginación de sus seguidores. 300 fans que iniciaron la aventura con nosotros y más de 5.000 usuarios que vivieron Juego de Tronos de una forma inolvidable.
Lástima que no hayan sabido representarme en todo mi esplendor.
Una aventura que continúa creciendo.
Salvaje conocido como él.
Se busca al nuevo rey de los Ándalos y los primeros hombres. Canal Plus presenta 19 reinos. Una experiencia transmedia basada en el universo de Juego de Tronos.
Creo que para que una webserie funcione, tiene que hablarle a una comunidad de algo muy específico.
Con un salvaje entrenador en formato webserie. Una aparición entre más de 300 fans. Una plaza donde recibir pistas. Socios para crecer. Batallas en Twitter. Una programación especial en televisión.
Queríamos brindar a los fans, queremos ponerles en el centro para que ellos puedan vivir de primera mano lo que es estar dentro del universo Juego de Tronos.
Mi señor. Está de buen humor.
Co-creación por parte de los usuarios. Tasa de interactividad en Facebook superior al 22%. Batman impartiendo justicia. Y además, los Stark dominando España. Y finalmente, la coronación del nuevo rey. Teníamos un objetivo. Ofrecer a los fans un universo donde desarrollar ese personaje que llevan dentro y que lo vivieran de verdad. Llevando a la calle nuestro eslogan de campaña. Y lo hemos conseguido. Si lo vives, es verdad.
Gracias.
Thank you.
15 minutos.
Wow. Wow. I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones. Zombies. Zombies are here, finally. Okay, we change now our register. We are in this audiovisual forum, and we were thinking about what we were going to talk about, and we decided, okay, how can we adapt all these contents by users, low-cost contents, for the promotion of the audiovisual content. And out of here, I started a campaign, and I said, well, I'd like to talk about my campaign for social networks. I'll just be talking about the most important things, to be honest, for local communities, and I'll show you this example. I'll tell you why zombies are here in okay, with I'll talk to you about the saga Numbers. They started in 2007. It was released by that year. Some of you might have been able to see it. They had a hidden camera at night, and they could see the people just jumping out during the film. And we had 3 more films, 2009, 2012 and 2014. Here we have all the releases, the images and DVDs, etc. In Spain, more than 4 million people went to see it, 1 remake in the USA, and it's been distributed in more than 30 countries around the world. There's a huge community around the REC story and phenomenon, and this phenomenon, which is the camera, just a handheld camera around. The challenges were basically the global community. It's a saga that many people were expecting, and we had to face this local release because we had been hired by a Spanish company, and a different penetration in different areas, because the different social networks under his umbrella have fans from all around the world. In this genre, Tatiana was saying that spoilers are not important, but in the case of REC, this was a very sensitive area. And then we had to face a dilemma. It had a precedent, which was REC 3, directed by FICOD Plaza. It constitutes a change of registry in comparison with the previous ones. Some people did like it, some people didn't. I didn't like this the kind of humor we use in that film. So we had to decide what are we going to do. What are we going to do with this very popular saga without spoiling the contents and without generating so much expectation that the bubble will burst.
Pablo, grábalo todo. Por tu puta madre.
Este vídeo lo hicimos.
This video we recorded in all the different languages where the film was exported. This sentence is the icon of the saga. At an international level, we saw that the promo of REC had to be memorized. They're very popular, and we prepared this for the release of the film in the Catalonian city of Sitges. We didn't show this one because the distribution company wasn't very sure about the humor used in this meme, and then we were discussing whether the fans would understand it, and we decided not to broadcast it. What we did was to use certain images from the previous films, and we tried to create just a normal environment, because the fans were very used to this type of environment anyway. I'm not sure if some of you have watched REC 4. I'll show you just a clip of the film. This man is in a ship, and the boat is not working properly. The power is failing, so some people come down and with a gun machine and is telling, "Come on, buddy, just fix this because we have to reach our port." And he says, "Well, I'll do it as soon as I like and I want to." And he says, "I don't know how you do things in your bloody country, but please start doing this right now." And this is his answer. "I'm from Móstoles, Madrid, and what I do as I bloody like." And we found that, okay, there was a meme there, evidently. And we started to brainstorm with our mobile phones, just wondering what were we going to do, because we couldn't show this meme before the people had seen the film. This was our first proposal: don't mess with Móstoles. Well, our problem was that the reality is that in our country the level of English understanding is not as high as we would like to, so we had to change this into "Long live Móstoles" in Spanish, and we had to accept the reality that sometimes you have very funny ideas, but you can actually use them because you don't know which is your target group. It's quite funny, but I think the previous one was even funnier. The promo is using Tumblr as well. It hasn't had the penetration in here as in the United States, this platform. And what we did was to create an alternative contents universe. We created a collection of posters, independent posters actually. These were the weapons of REC 4, the gun, kitchen knife, harpoons, etc. And if you have seen the film, you will understand the landscape poster. It's some food that they cook in the boat with a wok. And we played here as well with well, we would love these, but people would say, what the hell is this? And this is what we found quite frequently. Well, what we did is we were raising expectation with plenty of content, and you're trying to raise all these expectations with uploading pictures or contents. So we wanted the people basically not to have too much information, and we knew it was a saga, but we also wanted to attract other people, not just for fans, but also for non-fans. because our idea was to embrace everybody. And this is what I was talking about. Infected in REC is not zombies. We use the word infected, and we had to use this website, this page, to try and explain what was the difference between zombies and infected. People were actually talking about, but this is not true, because infected, if you use this potion, you could. So you had all these freaks actually writing about all these things. The good thing was that a lot of discussion was being generated, and with all these comments and interactions with the people, we were generating this social print that was basically something very. It was REC actually, and we were quite happy about that. But as I can tell you, in REC we have no zombies. We have infected people, and we also, what we did was to give rewards to the fans of the saga, play to the with a hashtag recuerdos, memories, etc. What we did was we had a character which was Manuela Velasco, and she's changed. It's quite scary actually. If you look at the pictures. So she's become a superwoman, as you can see in the photograph of the right-hand side. We also created some evolution graphs with the peaks of terror for the first third films. Yes, we were watching so many times the films, and we tried to see how all this idea had changed of terror and suspense. And the first one is very short, and there is a moment here you can see that they say Jennifer bites her mother. When you deal with fans of a saga, you have to be very, very precise, and we learned that because Jennifer bites his mother. That's what it says here. And then we had to, in Facebook, we just start to get all these messages. I thought that Jennifer only vomited upon her mother. Jennifer didn't bite. Please make up your mind. Does she? So everybody's saying, that's really not true. This is just the first 24 hours. There was a huge debate, and we said, okay, let's wait for them to stop. And we had to tell the people. What we did was that we asked the person that was going to give us the best answer. No, Jennifer vomits blood on her mother's face, and that's how she gets infected. But she never bites her. She just vomits on her. You are the best ones. Thank you. These are the worst, the hardest words that I've had to type in my life. But we had to acknowledge the error, and well, they didn't actually share this that much, to be honest. Never mind. And we were very insistent, and I've got to finish. I've got to finish now, because we want you to ask us questions as well, and we want to hear your comments. Basically, once the film is released, they stop doing promotion and stuff. So what we did is we prepared all the materials that would make sense after watching the film. So we wanted to create some material after the film, so you can still create content and etc. We had posters that were previous contents. This is one of the characters of the film, and well, he said I don't really like that. Never mind. But we used this. This is just a marketing strategy that you've been probably watching so many times in different series, but they're very useful as an alternative presentation of a character. This guy was a fan of Angela Vidal, you know, watching videos and etc. And this is it, to be honest. And thank you very much for coming here and using Twitter, because I've been checking here. So please keep using Twitter. So please, Rafa, can you please start the questions? Right, we've listened to these wonderful presentations. We've learned so much, and it's awesome the job that work they do. They reinvent themselves constantly. Not sure if can we have 5 more minutes for a round of questions? Yes, please, thank you. Anyone from the public would like to make any questions?
So those two things, our explanations were really good, or people have to leave, I don't know. But there's always doubts coming up. So I will just pop up a question. What about when people are afraid not to fiddle with our own contents? Where are the limits of creation when there's novel writer, director, movie director that comes and say, we're doing things the best we can, but people maybe do not like it. What's your perception on that? Tatiana, if you want to answer. Well, in our case, it's quite difficult. It's not nice if I say it, but if you do not behave well at home, you're more visible to your parents compared as if you do it outside. So it's a bit the same for us. If you do not follow the rules set by Americans, for example, well, if they won't like it, they're quite strict about this. If they don't like it, if you take an official billboard and put a Spanish joke on it, they do not like it. So hands are quite tight in our home house. They do not let us do things. Sometimes we do not even tell them that we do stuff. But the bad thing about that is that sometimes they do understand Spanish, the United States, and so that we do not like that. But I mean, it's not all horrible neither. And there's distribution companies that understand that everything goes fast. That especially Twitter forces us to take snap decisions, and we cannot think over campaigns for months. We have to change things to pace up the way we produce content, and we do not understand how, if a fan can create a billboard for a series, you cannot do it as fast as they do. And the thing is that you just have to make the most of every limitation to turn it into a new opportunity. When you have legal barriers, when there's something new you've never done before, well, it's just a new opportunity to become more creative. So exactly, every limitation is a new opportunity. Yes, we totally agree with that. You cannot stop doing things because you're not allowed to, or they don't let you do it. So What about Belen? If Christina would call you from Canal Plus, that would be a dream of many people to play around with Game of Thrones. What would you think about that? So at the first you get a big smile on your face, but then you have to meet with the biggest producer on the market. So how would you do that? So at first I was okay, I do not have to smile a lot. They cannot see that's your dream project. You have to talk in a serious way, but then you have to show you want to do it. It's obviously a candy for us. We were fans of the series and they were allowing us to play around with it and work with it. So we wanted to create this world. We knew we could not go too far in the Game of Thrones territory or space, so we had to create a parallel universe following the same rules of Game of Thrones and work around that. So I wasn't that scared by HBO because I do not deal with them, but I was especially scared by the Game of Thrones fans because they're really fans, so you cannot make mistakes. I consider myself a fan, but I'm not a super fan as many other people are. So thank God we had a lot of experts in Canal Plus. They knew everything about Game of Thrones, so we could work around that without creating much conflicts with fans. So in order to follow your thread, Christina was telling me before, you cannot imagine the workload behind that. We had to read all the books and we all became Game of Thrones geeks, and yes, it's all fantastic, but there's a lot of work behind. Can you tell us what does that imply for your team? There's a lot of research work, right? Yes, that's what I was telling you about in the presentation when our content director came and said that he had bought the Game of Thrones saga. Some members of the team knew this saga really well, and for example myself, I didn't know it. I didn't know much about it, but we knew that people we had to talk to was expert people, and they would not allow any mistake. That's what Elena said, and we had to fight against that, to deal with that. We are showing this series in our channel, but we knew that people who had read the books would spoil the content of Game of Thrones. We did not have to tell the end of Game of Thrones of the series. Where's the fun? And all the team working with Games of Thrones in Canal Plus had to read the books. We had to learn all the characters and everything. It seems basic right now, and I also feel old remembering all that, but the word Khaleesi, you need to know how to spell it. Where's the H? And all other words as well. You cannot misplace the H, the R, the L, whatever. And everyone in social networks would say, what are you doing? So there were a big public outcry around that, even for subtitles, for dubbing the TV series in Canal Plus. We partnered up with a specialized company, and we talked to the translator, the person who translated the books, in order to make sense out of every word. We did not want our fans to believe that we were not following the rules, and that's a lot of work behind. So as you said, we had to know everything about the series, and that's why when we reached the 4th season we thought about a web series, maybe with characters who are not in the original Game of Thrones, So we had to give it the proper setting. We could leave it in the Game of Thrones environment or bring it to our own world. And first we saw that fans were criticizing it, but then when they discovered it, they understood that it was something a bit different, and they congratulated us. So you have to know the limits, but play around with it. You remember when Elena published on Facebook, does anyone know the difference between a zombie and an infected? And that's something we can talk about in our forum. We need to help each other out. Yes, one of your friends wrote a PhD about that, right? Yes, he can explain to you everything about it. Yes, so I basically want you to know how you work with fans, how you work around a saga, how you convince a distribution company, especially in Spain, which is a more traditional country, and in other countries they're more innovative. We're scared here about piracy, and I like taking risks. So when they were about to show the trailer of the movie, said we needed to put an image in Instagram, but are you going to upload it in YouTube? No, only Instagram right now. No YouTube, only Instagram. And what we did was to try to convince Vero when she assisted to the premiere in Toronto. At the same time, we published a piece in Twitter around that. So she lost her prejudice. Well, I wouldn't talk about prejudice, but it's about confidence as well. Well, how can I explain that? Limits our possibility to explore the unknown. And we knew they wanted to promote the series, but they didn't want to spoil the content. So we did not want to give too much clues. And then the quality built by a brand, when you see that the company has been working around content, that's very powerful. So you guys know what I'm talking about. You do not have to publish 3-4 tweets and you're done. No, you need to know what you're talking about to be able to hold a conversation. And the team who worked with me promoting Rec 3 or Rec 4, the program around cinema in the Spanish public television, when they broadcasted Rec 1, when my friend had seen the movie 30 times before that, and well, we were sitting and my grandmother came by, told me, haven't you watched it yet? And I was like, no, I know, but I need to watch it again. So we have to be very serious about your work, and when you work around a product which is famous and which has a lot of fans, you need to be careful. Then you get questions you cannot answer. One fan told me he'd like to be a zombie to eat off someone's famous brain. Well, and they would ask how old was the director when he filmed Rec, and you need to be fast. You do not have time to look for information in the internet. So any other question? Hello, good afternoon. I have a question regarding Game of Thrones. This world created around Game of Thrones is a life experience for TV viewers. It became a big phenomenon. I do not know whether you had some kind of response from the Game of Thrones writer or from HBO any external response of the Spanish phenomenon, about the Spanish phenomenon? What do you mean with the external response? Well, it became a big phenomenon in Spain, but I don't know if you got any feedback from yes, the HBO, for example, from the owners. Exactly, that's it. That's my question. So HBO did not give us any feedback. We told them we were working on a new kind of experience, and they said great. But in the end, the audience in Spain is different from the US audience. So if we're saying that's a strategy that will bring the TV series to the audience, they will support you. And regarding the writer, he supported us for the first season especially, and he mentioned us in his blog. That's very important for us. We're getting the recognition from the author. And he also shared with us the video I showed you before, and he loved it. He said he did not understand what was being said because it was in Spanish, but he could imagine what it was, and then fans told him, obviously. So yes, we had quite a lot of support. So on top of the repercussions at the national level, he also invited us to speak to a film festival in Texas, in South by Southwest. Big festival. They pick very good projects for the festival, so we were really happy about it because it worked here, but foreign people valued this project as well, and compared it to other projects they do themselves, so we couldn't be any happier. Another question? Hello, good afternoon, good evening. A question for Christina. I guess you're working on transmedia. Yes, sorry, that's for you. The question is aimed at you. But so you're working on transmedia not only with audiovisual companies, and if you had to do it in a politics marketing context, imagine you have Pablo Iglesias, the leader of the Podemos political party, and he would tell you we need to create a political campaign for the next elections. Well, I would love to do that. That would be a big challenge, and I would just love to do it. I would suggest to use storytelling and interactive experience to make the most of the good feedback they get on social networks, in order for them to get to know their audience a bit better, so that their followers could know a bit more about their proposals, about what they want to do, and use an immersive experience in several platforms in order to convey their message and to gain more followers. For me, transmedia is a language in its own right, and you can apply that in any kind of field. And with the right-wing party, the one of the current president, would it be more difficult? I guess it would be more difficult, but we could probably do it. What would you do, Elena? She says that because I'm collaborating with a book from Antonio Lozado, Mariano Code, so the perspective of a Galician person who's trying to understand Mariano Rajoy, the president of Spain, because he's from Galicia. So yes, we are promoting our work a bit. But anyway, we're trying to generate a lot of content by users. I want people to get the best moments of Mariano Rajoy, saying when he mentioned that he wanted to increase the VAT on candy, for example, all these pearls. So everyone know about that, and we all got to know about it. And so we want people to find out information around this, and it's what you're saying. You just need to throw it around, and I like to just nudge the community and see what is their response. Sometimes they come up with things you had not even think about. So let's finish it with a word about zombies. Sorry, that's a bad joke. We can close the talk with that.
Muchas gracias. Invitaros de verdad a participar.
Thank you really for being here. Please just follow us on Twitter, on our forums, and I will just tell my colleagues working in innovation to come here, take a picture, and we will be here all evening. We love to talk, so thank you, FICOD, for receiving us, and thanks to everyone. Really, thank you.
No lo puedo evitar.